This video is how to change center lock Porsche wheels. So it's telling me to make sure to not only grease the threads on the outside here that go in, but also that conical area where it centers it. Our castrol grease made just for this purpose. I'm going to put some around the threads to make sure there's plenty on that part. And I'm going to put some on the surface out here. Make sure that's got a nice coat to it. Make sure there's no other dirt or anything else around there. It's going to go on real nice. Try to get my hands clean so I don't get any goop on the wheels. Okay, now that's all ready. I'm going to start threading that back in place real careful. Make sure that's nice and free. Time to get the big one out. That locked in place. Okay, that's braced there. I'm tightening. I am actually going to set this now. I need that to be at 600 Newton meters. And I've got a 3-to-1 input to output, or vice versa. So that means I need to do 200 Newton meters on this thing. Okay. And then we've got a little bit of loss in it. So if I do, and this says you might have 10 to 20% torque loss, which is quite a bit. So I know we don't want to overdo it, we don't want it to come loose. So let's say if we go 10% would be at 220. And so there's 237. Maybe we go to, so there's where the torque is. Now the manual says you back it off a quarter turn and then retighten it to that same thing. Okay, and a quarter turn on this means it's got to go from here. Okay, there's the quarter turn. Okay, and that should be it. First, when I saw these exposed splines on all four wheels, I was a little bit concerned because on stock wheels I checked that piece, that safety bolt or whatever you call it, was all the way out to the edge. So I was concerned, was there something wrong with the wheel? Turns out you just have to kind of twist and wiggle that thing until it springs out. So you actually want it to look like this. See how that comes all the way out? That's the way you want. You don't want to drive the car until you get all of those all the way out to the edge of the splines. All I'm doing is taking a 1/2-inch driver with a little extension on it, and I'm just going to put a piece of masking tape on the outside of it so it doesn't necessarily scratch anything. Now see how it's stuck in there a little bit? You just kind of rotate, just kind of mess with it a little bit. And there you go, it's all the way out. I got all of them to spring out except this last one. And so I took the wheel off again, and this thing was, you know, goes in and out, but you could see it looked kind of grungy in there. So I tried some Aerocoil, it loosened it up a little bit, it wanted to work, but it wasn't rotating. So this piece needs to rotate a little bit. You can see I finally got it broke loose, but it's still not great. But that rotation here is what allows it to rotate when you're jiggling the end of it to fit in the center cap. So since this was kind of froze up, it wasn't able to do that. So I can get it out, and it does look like there's some rust on it. So I'm going to clean all this gunk off inside there too and get it to where it's moving smooth, and then I should be okay. Okay, now that I've cleaned the big chunks off, there's still some discoloration, but it's, you know, the chunks are off, it's smooth again. I got in there and I cleaned all that junk out of there, the rust and stuff. Got it cleaned up good. I'm going to put just a little bit of, I don't want to put too much lubrication in here because I don't want it to attract dust, even though it should be tight in here, but I'm going to put just a little bit of 3-in-1 oil around where that piece goes in. See how it rotates freely now? That's the way it should have been, but now that it's clean, it does again. Now I'm going to clean that center cap well. Again, grease the cone and those threads and put it all back together. So you'll just do this for all 4 sides. Then you take your center cap, line that tab up with that groove. So the bottom of the crest is where that lip is, where you would put your tool. So that's where your tool goes. You're going to put the bottom of the crest right up against that. And just press it in. Get it sealed. See, there's where your tool would go, right there, the bottom point. That looks really sweet actually. The black gloss wheels with the body, that looks good. Very happy with how them came out. The other rear wheel's been installed in the same way. Before I do the front wheels, I moved my 2 pieces of wood and knocked them in underneath the rear tire, both sides, to hold that still. I believe the parking brake only works on the rear wheels, so to do the front wheels, I'm going to have to brace the wheels with the front brake pedal. Now I have the spreader across the bottom from the brake pedal to the seat with the blanket to make sure I don't scuff the seats or anything. And now I'll go ahead and start doing my change. Without the brake pedal, this wheel tire will spin on you when you try to tighten or loosen, so you do have to do that. Don't skip it. Do the spreader or find somebody to help you. The other thing you have to worry about in the front ones is these tires can turn. Modern cars don't have a steering block like the old ones, so they can turn on you, which means you have to be very careful and keep everything straight and aligned, unless you have somebody to sit in the driver's seat and hold the wheel for you. Otherwise, same kind of process. Again, I'm going to first just get it broke loose on the ground, then jack it up and go through the normal procedure. I've already got the cap off. Again, lining that bolt with the hole in the jack point per the manual. Took the old wheel off, slipped the new one on, removed the guidance, greased the threads in the conical area. All right, center cap's all greased. Start tightening the wheel. Take our little hub and put the point down to where that gap is. Press it in. I love the way these look. That wasn't actually that terrible of a job. The only thing I have left to do is go to pull the brake thing off. I'll pull the brake out now. There we go. Get the brake spreader out. That worked well. The last thing to check is to make sure that the tire pressure sensors are working properly. Turn the car on. Switch the menu to the... Oh, there we go. Uh-oh. Alright, so I got all zeros, but maybe it needs a minute to calibrate. I wonder if I have to go drive it before that'll come on. Drove around for a couple minutes, started seeing numbers, came back, filled it up, took it out, 10-15 minutes. Seems to be taut, everything looks really good. I assume if I turn it back on, it'll be okay. Okay, looks like everything's solid, so that job's complete. And there's the final product. The black wheels definitely match the body of the car better. They give it a kind of a darker, more menacing look. To me, it's a much better design. It's nice and simple. It's not as busy as the old ones. It's just 5 2-member spokes on it. And it just really makes the car look better to me. Plus, now it matches its roommate. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to learn more about how to enjoy amazing machines like this.